And we are off like a herd of turtles. So, anyone watching this, which is currently zero, unsurprisingly, um, I'm just jumping in the car here. Jesus Christ, people, fucking look. Anyway, jumping in the car here, headed down to the Ottawa-Gatineau International Auto Show. It's definitely not international. It's definitely not that big, but it definitely is Ottawa-Gatineau in the greatest sense of the word. The fact that it likes to use big things like international in the headline, but it's really a relatively small show that doesn't have every manufacturer, that often is, doesn't involve any special stuff. And being Ottawa-Gatineau, really? Are you really going to walk in the middle of the road here? What the fuck are you doing? Jesus. Anyway, you get people just like that who wandering down the middle of the road, no reason, slowly walking, no F's given about the cars sitting behind them or traffic or anyone. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, you get the same kind of people at the Ottawa-Gatineau Auto Show. Especially emphasis on the Gatineau side there, you get some real special people coming from the Quebec side that, oh man, the people watching from that angle, the entertainment is top notch. It is most excellent entertainment value of people watching. Whether it's because it's people who don't know anything about cars, like at all, or don't really know much about the particular models that they're looking at. There could be a lot of reasons why people just don't get it. Quoting the wrong specs, that's one of my favorites, even though it's literally on a placard, like right beside the vehicle, right? It's inevitable that someone's going to be, this car has 500 horsepower when it's like 200 or something like that, right? There's always some good juicy stuff, or oh, this car's a piece of junk when it's actually like one of the best cars the show, on and on. There's always some good stuff involved, which is one of my favorite parts, is dealing with people watching, and of course cars. So for me, why do I go? Well, one, it's fun. Two, it gives me an opportunity to stay up to date. I research cars all the time, and I pay attention to them. I look at launches. I pay attention to the media, auto journalism constantly. I literally just saw a notification pop up on my phone that the guys from the Straight Pipes out of Toronto just posted their new Mazda 3 hatchback review. I'm going to check that out later, because that's a car that is not only interesting to me, but potentially interesting to a lot of other people I know within my circle of friends and acquaintances. So for me, having this information is valuable for me to be able to talk to people, make recommendations, and sort of stuff. And one of the things about cars, not quite to the extreme that it is with motorcycles, but absolutely with cars, is you gotta sit in everything, right? You would never ever consider buying a car without test driving it. That would be like the dumbest thing ever. And that's double, triple, mega true with motorcycles, in the sense that you have to sit on everything to make sure it fits and it's comfortable, things are in the right places. Cars the same way. Especially for me, I'm 6'2", and legroom is actually a pretty serious issue in a lot of vehicles for me. But so are a lot of other things, especially in smaller cars, economy cars. I'm not fat by any stretch, but I am broad-shouldered, and I got really long legs, so I gotta know which vehicles are gonna fit myself and other people like me, because there's a lot that just simply don't, right? They're just not suitable for taller people of particular stature, and you'll never know that without sitting in everything, right? You got to sit in it to know it, to explore it. You know, is it ergonomic to your usage? You know, can you reach things? Can you get to stuff? You know, the features and all that stuff come after, but you know, a friend of mine has a test that he always does, and it's a great test. I actually highly recommend people do this as well. Get in the car and tap on the dash. What does it sound like? Is it totally hollow, or does it have a good solid thud to it? Does the whole dash panel move and rattle when you do that? These might seem like minor things, but they're actually a really big deal when it comes to trying to determine the quality of a vehicle before buying it. Right? You want to know, are the materials good? Is it going to hold up over time, or is it going to rattle and fall apart? You know, and you can get some indication of that at an auto show by sitting in it and touching the buttons and tapping on the dash and banging on the door panels, because that's another good one, the door panels. Auto shows years ago, when the newer newer Camaros came out, when the rebirth of the Camaro came out after they had killed it, you know, first time I ever got in one, opening and closing the door and tapping on the door panel, I knew right away that car was a piece of shit. It was horrible. Like, it was real bad. And sure enough, not long after that, media starts coming out. Materials are garbage, you know, and yeah, because you sat in it and everything felt cheap as anything. Just trash bag thin plastic, no padding, no insulation, and nothing. Just sheet metal on the outside, plastic bag thin plastic rattling around on the inside. Just horrible, right? They've improved that a lot, right? But that, on the flip side, you didn't get that in the Mustang. You didn't get that in the Challenger. You know, you had other issues, like for example in the Challenger, the switchgear and everything like that was so cheap and horrible feeling that it was just terrible, right? Mustang has its own issues. I would say mostly software related. If you get certain versions of sync. It's a Saturday. It's Saturday at 1 o'clock. We're hitting friggin' traffic jam on the highway here. All right, whatever. So let's take a step back. What am I looking forward to at this show? Well, I have some friends who are interested in potentially looking at trucks and vans to replace current vehicles. So, you know, I'm going to want to look at those. Myself personally, you know, our second vehicle is not exactly in the best of condition, and probably needs to be replaced in the next year or two. So, you know, what is that going to look like? There's a lot of conversations that we've been having about what that might be, what that might look like, what do we want, and so on. So I'm going to be looking at a wide range of things. It won't be too long until I'm halfway done the lease on this vehicle, and you know, then you start figuring out what's next. And you know, there's been enough vehicles that have come out now that will probably be at the tail end of their production generation when I'm starting to be serious about getting out of this vehicle. So, you know, that in itself means that, you know, I need to start researching in a way to say, you know, what do I want to do next, and figure that out. So there's a lot of angles of attack that I'm going to be looking at here, and then just in general, what's new, what's cool. There have been some pretty interesting new stuff out. I highly doubt I'll be able to touch it, but I'm really hoping that they have the new Supra on a pedestal, because I'm dying to see that vehicle in person, because in pictures it's not totally convincing on some angles. So I got to see what it looks like in person to really get a good sense of it. So I'm hoping they'll have it on a pedestal at the very least, but I can pretty much guarantee there's no chance that that they're going to let people touch it or get in it, although I would love to. But maybe BMW will have the Z4, and I'll be able to get in that to get a little small sense of what it is. We'll see. Let's see, what else? Last year they had a cool electric car place where you could sign up, book things to test drive electric cars. Last year I drove at that point, the new Nissan Leaf, and I actually came away pretty impressed by it, considering, it's an economy electric car. Economy. But they had an e-Golf and a Bolt there last year. So if they're doing the same thing, I might sign up and do that, but I'll drive something else. I'll try the Bolt or the e-Golf, and not the Leaf. Just to get a sense, right? Because maybe the second vehicle we get, to replace our current second vehicle, maybe there's an opportunity there to look at getting something electric, right? Maybe my primary vehicle will be electric, and the second one will be something larger. There's a lot of angles now, and considering that one of our vehicles generally is only ever commuting, right? It doesn't really have to do anything else other than commute. So I think there is a potential, maybe not this next round, but certainly the round after that, whenever that might be, that we might be looking at electric cars as a fairly serious contender, potentially in the next 5 to 10 years, or less. So staying on top of that and finding out what you like, what you don't like about certain brands and certain models, I think is important. Last year when I drove the Leaf, it's a fairly simple hatchback economy car from a physical standpoint, but I was actually pretty impressed with the drivetrain. It was quick, it was snappy, it wasn't slow. In fact, if you turned off a lot of the stuff and you kind of put it in its like sporty mode, and you hit the accelerator, it can move. Like, it's not Tesla fast, it's not ludicrous mode or anything, but it can move. Like, it's no joke. It's definitely faster than anything in the physical class, in the compact hatchback class. Way faster in terms of off-the-line performance than any traditional ICE vehicle in that same class. So, bombing around town, there's some great potential with those types of vehicles. So, curious about that. At the same time, there's just always lots of stuff to see. It's just, I don't know. I just find it cool. I find it interesting. Not everybody does. Some people just look at appliances, like this person driving this CR-V right here. Chances are, if you're buying a CR-V, cars, or I'm not gonna pick on just the CR-V, but a Prius or anything like that, chances are cars are just an appliance to you. They're no different than your fridge and stove. They serve a basic, A to B role, and that's all. They don't really do anything. You don't really care. As long as they do that A to B role, that's it, right? Medium paid drivers are that way usually. And if that's all that you're into, then auto shows probably aren't for you, unless you are within 6 months or less of buying a new appliance vehicle, in which case going to the auto show can help you condense down your shopping experience. Instead of having to hop from dealership to dealership to dealership, talking to jackass salesmen, dealing with all the nonsense, going to an auto show means that you can one-stop shop on your own time, all the different brands, all the different things, make a list, do a tour, walk around, check them out, and figure out what it is that you're looking for, that you want, and that you're going to be comfortable in. You know, if you have a family, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, the vehicle is going to fit your family needs properly. If you are tall or short or whatever, you know, you got to make sure that it physically fits what it is that you're trying to do. So there's a lot of different avenues and paths that you might want to explore in order to figure out your shopping, right? It's not a next to a house, a car might potentially be the biggest purchase of your life, and one that you or many people replace every 5 to 10 years. So if you're replacing a major purchase every 5 to 10 years, you need to do your diligence. Like, you need to really focus on what it is that you want out of a vehicle. And I chose the wrong way to get here. Good Lord. You know, I've been downtown for a work thing for the past 2 mornings, and the traffic on the highway was more backed up, but the traffic getting off onto Nicholas was nothing. I'm at a dead stop, barely off the ramp. Anyway, well, this video's already run over 15 minutes anyways, so I'll probably call it there, but man, serious? Fuck. Oh well. I might record some short clips of cars and throw them up in a separate video when I'm there. We'll see. And maybe have commentary after the show to talk about that stuff. But until then, peace out.